The restaurant fell completely silent the moment the billionaire pushed his chair back, glanced at the receipt, wrote a bold $0 on the tip line, and walked away without looking back. Every waiter stopped moving. Every customer noticed. And standing there with tired eyes, sore feet, and hope already hanging by a thread was Marcus Williams, a black single father who had just spent 2 hours giving that table the best service of his life. But what Marcus didn't know was that hidden beneath the dinner plate was a folded handwritten note that would change not only his future, but the future of his little daughter forever. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness can appear in the most unexpected places, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that remind us never to judge too quickly. Marcus had long ago learned that life rarely rewarded good people immediately. Every morning before sunrise, he gently woke 8-year-old Ava, braided her curly hair the best he could after watching countless online tutorials, packed her school lunch, and kissed her forehead before rushing to his first shift. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier after a sudden illness that drained every dollar they had saved. Since then, Marcus had become both father and mother, protector and provider. Every bill felt like a mountain, every paycheck disappeared before it arrived, and every night he silently prayed that nothing unexpected would happen because there simply wasn't any money left for surprises. Working as a waiter at one of the city's most luxurious restaurants wasn't glamorous. Wealthy guests often ignored him as though he were invisible. Some demanded impossible things. Others complained simply because they could. Marcus smiled through every insult because he had someone waiting at home who depended on him. His dignity wasn't measured by how others treated him but by how faithfully he continued showing kindness despite it all. That evening the manager pulled Marcus aside and quietly warned him that one of the richest businessmen in America had reserved the private dining room. The man's reputation was legendary. Newspapers praised his business genius while restaurant staff across the country whispered about his impossible standards. Some claimed he tipped thousands of dollars. Others insisted he never tipped anyone. Nobody seemed to know which version was true. Marcus was assigned to the table. He prepared everything with extraordinary care. Every glass sparkled. Every plate was perfectly aligned. Every meal arrived exactly on time. When the billionaire requested unusual substitutions, Marcus handled them without hesitation. When expensive wine needed replacing because the guest wanted a different vintage, Marcus apologized even though it wasn't his mistake. For over 2 hours he anticipated every need before it was spoken. Other employees watched with admiration, believing Marcus might finally receive the life-changing tip he desperately needed. While serving dessert, Marcus's phone vibrated inside his locker. He couldn't answer, but anxiety instantly filled his chest. The school never called unless something was wrong. During his short break he finally listened to the voicemail. Ava had developed a high fever, and the school nurse recommended taking her to a doctor as soon as possible. Marcus wanted nothing more than to run to his daughter immediately, but the restaurant was packed, and abandoning his table could cost him his job. Fighting tears, he finished his shift as quickly and professionally as possible. When the billionaire stood up to leave, Marcus politely thanked him for dining at the restaurant. The man nodded once, signed the receipt, and disappeared through the front entrance. Marcus looked down. The tip line read exactly what everyone feared. $0. His heart sank. Several co-workers exchanged sympathetic looks. One shook his head and whispered that rich people were often the cheapest. Another muttered that 2 hours of perfect service had been worth absolutely nothing. Marcus quietly began clearing the table. As he lifted the heavy dinner plate, something slid onto the white tablecloth. It was a neatly folded note. At first Marcus assumed it was another complaint. His exhausted hands unfolded the paper anyway. Inside, only one sentence was written. "You never stopped smiling, even after hearing about your daughter." Marcus froze. How could the man possibly know? The note continued on the other side. I noticed your face change after that phone call, but you chose professionalism instead of anger. Meet me tomorrow at 9 a.m. Bring this note. No address. Only the logo of a company Marcus instantly recognized as one of the largest corporations in the country. The restaurant manager examined the note several times before quietly telling Marcus that the logo belonged to the Billionaire's headquarters. Nobody understood what was happening, but everyone agreed Marcus should go. That night Marcus barely slept. After taking Ava to an urgent care clinic, where doctors diagnosed a serious but treatable infection, he sat beside her bed wondering whether the mysterious invitation was real or some elaborate joke. Medical bills already covered the kitchen table. Rent was overdue. His aging car needed repairs. Hope felt dangerous because disappointment had become so familiar. The next morning Marcus borrowed a clean suit from a neighbor and arrived at the towering glass building exactly 15 minutes early. Security guards examined the note before immediately escorting him upstairs to the executive floor. The office overlooking the city seemed larger than Marcus's entire apartment. The billionaire stood beside the windows. For several moments neither man spoke. Then the billionaire slowly explained that for years he had secretly visited businesses without revealing his identity beforehand. He wasn't testing food or luxury. He was studying character. He believed genuine integrity appeared only when people thought nobody important was watching. Most employees treated wealthy guests differently than ordinary customers. Marcus hadn't. Most people became impatient after receiving stressful news. Marcus hadn't. Most importantly, Marcus never realized the billionaire had intentionally left the tip at zero because the real test wasn't generosity. It was gratitude. Instead of complaining, chasing the customer into the parking lot, or speaking bitterly about unfairness, Marcus had quietly continued cleaning the table with dignity. The billionaire admitted he had hidden cameras observing only the dining experience with the restaurant's permission for service evaluations. Marcus's reaction after seeing the $0 tip had revealed everything the businessman wanted to know. Then something extraordinary happened. The billionaire placed a small envelope on the desk. Inside was a check, not for a few $100s, not for a generous restaurant tip, but for $250,000. Marcus stared at the numbers in disbelief. His hands trembled so violently he almost dropped the paper. The billionaire explained that money alone wasn't the gift. The real opportunity was inside another envelope waiting underneath. Marcus opened it. It contained an offer to lead a new hospitality training foundation the billionaire planned to launch. The organization would help single parents develop careers in customer service management while providing childcare assistance, scholarships, and emergency financial support. The billionaire said he didn't need another executive with expensive degrees. He needed someone whose compassion couldn't be purchased. Marcus had already proven that. Tears filled his eyes, not because of the money, but because for the first time since losing his wife, someone had seen his heart instead of his circumstances. The following months transformed Marcus's life in ways he never imagined. Ava received excellent medical care. They moved into a modest but safe home with a small backyard where she planted flowers in memory of her mother. Marcus remained humble despite his new position. Every training session began with the same message: people should never measure another person's worth by their job title, clothing, or bank account because the strongest people often carry the heaviest burdens in complete silence. News of the unusual $0 tip spread across social media after restaurant employees shared the incredible story. Millions debated whether the billionaire had been too harsh. Others argued that nobody should test struggling workers that way. The billionaire later admitted publicly that he understood the criticism and had learned something himself. He promised never to repeat the exact experiment because Marcus's response had already taught him the lesson he needed. Generosity should never depend on secret tests. Respect should be given freely. Years later, the foundation had helped thousands of single parents rebuild their lives. Some opened restaurants. Others became hotel managers. Many simply found stable employment that allowed them to spend more evenings with their children instead of juggling multiple jobs. Marcus often returned to the restaurant where everything had begun. He wasn't there to relive the painful memory. He was there to encourage exhausted employees who reminded him of his younger self. Whenever someone apologized for feeling overwhelmed, Marcus gently reminded them that difficult seasons do not last forever. Sometimes the biggest opportunities arrive disguised as the greatest disappointments. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may be losing hope today. Your support helps these inspiring stories reach more people around the world. Before we reach the end, please leave a comment with one word, kindness, if you believe that a person's character is always worth more than their wealth. Marcus eventually framed the handwritten note that had been hidden beneath the plate. Visitors often assumed the expensive check had changed his life, but Marcus always pointed toward the faded piece of paper instead. The check paid bills, bought security, and created opportunities, but the note restored something far more valuable. It reminded a grieving father that even when the world seemed indifferent, someone had noticed every quiet sacrifice, every hidden tear, every act of patience, and every moment he chose kindness over bitterness. In the end, the billionaire's greatest gift was never the money at all. It was proving that unseen goodness is never truly unseen, and that sometimes the smallest folded note beneath an ordinary dinner plate can open the door to an extraordinary new life.